Okay, this is a quick review of some of the stitches that I tend to use when I'm knitting. These may not be all the stitches, this is just the stitches that I tend to use a lot, and sometimes I probably give them different names what they're supposed to be called. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to use my spool loom to show you, because there's enough room on these pegs. Again, apply this together. The most common one, first you're going to get your slip knot, and this is going to be a quick review. Okay, so you have your slip knot. For the sake of the tutorial, it's going right on it. Now the first stitch I'll show you is a simple E-wrap one, which means all we're going to do, again, is you're just E-wrapping the pegs. Okay, you go around, and then you're going to go around again. So you have 2 strands on each, and then you're just going to take the bottom over the top. This is how you do the simple E-wrap method that a lot of people use. Okay, so that's stitch number 1, is using the E-wrap method when you're wrapping it around. And that's the effect it'll give you. The second stitch I want to show you is where you have the same idea. You have to wrap the peg. Excuse me. Most of them seem to start with you actually just wrapping the peg in the E-wrap method. Now we're going to do what I call the purl stitch. The purl stitch is where you're simply, excuse me, I'm going to put this strand on the inside because it's in my way. To do that, I'm just going to simply move that into the inside. You'd have it in a different spot if you were using it the way you're supposed to. Okay, get that out of my way. Now when you want to do the purl stitch, all you're going to do is you're going to lay this below the loops that you have. And you're going to take your crochet hook, well, I just got to find the first one, and you're just going to work to bring it up. You're going to take your crochet hook into the loop that you have, bring it down so that you can grab the bottom string that you just pulled up. And what you're creating is a loop at the top. So you want to create a loop. And then once you have the loop, take it off and put it back on the peg. 1 second. And then you're going to just take this, as you can see, and kind of turn your hook, bring it up, create that loop, take it off the peg, and put it on. And that, excuse me, is how you do the purl stitch. Okay, another stitch, excuse me, is called the knit stitch. Again, you have your loop and you have it on there, you're going to E-wrap it around. And to do the knit stitch, I believe is how I'd look it up, because I don't use this one as much. Now with the purl stitch, we did it underneath the rows that we already had on. But this time, to do the knit one, you're going to do it on top of them. I call it like the reverse of purling. So you have your strands on top, and this time you're going to go up and grab it and make a loop down. And then take that loop off and put it up. This is, I believe, called the knit stitch. So again, it's going to be on top of the strand you have. And then you're going to reach through that bottom loop. Reach to that bottom loop. It's a little tricky to show backwards, so again. Excuse me. So you're going to reach underneath. Bring this down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to reach underneath. And then turn your tool. Oh, it must be, I think it's the yarn I'm using that's kind of breaking up. So we're going to go underneath the tool, or underneath the loop, and bring the loop to at the bottom. So it's going to be down instead of up like the purl one. And then take it off and put it back on. And that's how you do the knit stitch. One more time, just because I know that I was a little confusing with the thing. Instead of, like I said, the purling's below. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. The purl one is you're putting it underneath. The knit one, you're putting it over top. And then again, bringing this like this. So you make your loop. See how we got our loop there? And you take that loop off and put it back on the peg. So that will be the knit. Okay, another stitch is another one I like to use. It's what I like to call it the tight stitch. I'm not sure if it's got an exact name. I start learning that I call things my own little thing. But this is good if you want a tighter stitch on there. So you're going to E-wrap it around. So you have 3 strands on your pegs. So there's once around. Now going around the second time. I really should have used a separate color because I know that you can't really see what I'm doing with it being pink. I should have used a different color, but Okay, so now we got 2 strands, so we're not ready yet. We're just going to push these down a little to give ourselves room to get the last strand around. This is the hardest stitch to do on a shorter peg loom. So basically you can gauge what stitch you can do by how much space you have on your peg a little too. And now we're just going to wrap it a 3rd time. Okay, so we have 3 strands on there. And to make it tight, yes, we're going to go and we're going to grab the bottom strand, the bottom loop, and bring it up over the top too. I know I've used this stitch before, so that's all you're going to do here. You're taking the bottom strand, the bottom that you first cast it on, and take it over the top. The bottom, over the top. Okay, and that's all you do for the tight stitch. It will create a tighter effect in your project. Now, one of the other stitches you can do is what's called a chunky braid stitch. For the sake of this one, I'm not actually going to, I'm just going to continue on. We already have the 3 strands that we did for the tight stitch. Well, all you're going to do now is you're going to wrap it so there's 4 strands on it. And since I already did part of it as tight stitch, okay, so you're going to do it so you have 4 strands on it. All the way around, so you have 4. And then you're going to go back to the beginning, obviously, and where there's 4 strands, so we're going to use this peg as an example, we take the bottom 3 up over the top. And that will create a different effect. So it's the bottom 3 over the top. Bottom 3 over the top. And I'm sure there's other stitches out there. These are some of the main ones I use. I'm still learning other stitches. I know there's quite a few other ones I want to learn. And as I learn them, obviously I'll teach you. And what's great about the knit purling is you can alternate that on your pegs, and that will create a different effect. So don't feel like you have to use one continuous stitch through your project. You can mix it up, which will give it a different effect. So those are just like the 4 main ones that I tend to use. I've said before, I just started loom knitting in February, I believe it was February of 2011. So I'm still kind of gradually learning new things. And as I learn them, I try to teach you. But there are plenty of other stitches I believe out there. I think there's something called a popcorn stitch that I'm trying to use. Excuse me, another stitch that I have a video for, if you haven't seen it yet, you should look up, is the honeycomb or box stitch. I show a tutorial on that one if you haven't seen it yet. Excuse me, I am trying to learn other stitches, but I feel it's good if you're a beginner, just kind of stick with, these are 4 different stitches that I tend to use a little more. I use the honeycomb stitch sometimes, depending on the project, but I know there's other ones, and obviously, you know, check out on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find them. And once I learn them, I'll teach them to you as well, even though I know there's other people out there that do it. I feel like, you know, I'd like to take the time to explain it my way, in case I explain things any differently than somebody else might. But go ahead and check other people. There's a couple other people on YouTube that are great. I've actually subscribed to a couple people myself. I haven't been watching their videos as much because I'm now in the stage that I kind of want to learn on my own. So I basically watch their videos now when they're doing like video or viewer donations for an organization or something. I try not to watch their tutorial videos as much because I'm kind of trying to learn this on my own. But they're great. You can check out the Crochet Crowd or Good Knit Kisses. They're great. They kind of teach in a different way. That's what I love too, is we all teach in different ways. So there's somebody on YouTube that you'll connect to teach you different things. Like I said, those are the basic stitches: the regular E-wrap, the knit, the purl, excuse me, and all that. So go ahead and experiment with those.